What? I don't. I tell you one thing. You know, hey, are you there? Are you there? Finger Smith, are you there? Uh, oh yeah, okay. Oh, oh, this hurt. This hurt hurts. Such. It's a time. Is it time for the the patch yet? The my patch for my oh, wait. Joe, Joe, Fingers Smith, that's your name. Oh, wow. You know, it was a pretty big fight there for a minute. I I heard him. I heard last week. This has been a fight for the last week. Joe, you know, he's a lot like my brother, Finger Smith. He's a lot like my brother. He means well, but he comes across sometimes as a know it all. I know it all. Just like when I used to live on this I used to live on this plane, and I just was wondering why he says I'm talking through him when I'm just trying to talk through him. I am talking through him now. You know what I mean? Damn, goddamn. Oh, I can't say that where I come from anymore. But wait a minute. I like this. I like this right here. And I want to park right here. I want to park right here in Joseph Fingersmith's body right here. And I'm the one who can do it. Yeah. Welcome. Parking lot. I like that. Parking lot saints. You know, when I was a youngster, my aunt told me I could be any one I wanted to be, and I don't know. I guess the saint thing didn't appeal to me too much, and I wanted to play football, and I wanted to play baseball, and I didn't. I just did the. And later on, I wanted to play the guitar, but my mom, she didn't know the difference between a bass guitar and a regular guitar. So one Christmas, I got a, um, a cheap bass guitar. And when I told mom that this wasn't a guitar, she says, "You better like what you got, 'cause I'm not taking it back. I'm not taking it back." So I became a bass player, and I never thought of myself as a saint. I just did parking lot gig for my aunt, and I don't know. That's just. Are you sure this body feels? Man, this body feels sore. You sure the not quite right, Reverend? Doesn't take some kind of pain medication. But oh yeah, yeah, he still has his clavicle. Peace of mind was taken out just before I went to live with my I guess codependent brother. Yeah. Well, I know just before. Well, here's the deal, man. People say that they take over, that my spirit has taken them over, when everybody knows that people fake that. And last week, I'm not saying Fingersmith didn't feel anything, but because I was there trying to take control, because he was mistaken. He was, I mean, he made a mistake, and made a mistake in a lot of things about this church. Although it was his idea, it wasn't my idea. I didn't want a church. In fact, I wrote a letter to, I don't know who, I think to whom it may concern, and Fingersmith got a whole little letter, and this is here. I was a man who made a lot of mistakes. And since I've passed, I've learned that the mistakes, I can't take a lot with me, but I can take the mistakes with me. And as a consequence, I am now in charge of trivial requests. I don't know. I mean, when I was an altar boy, it was like my penance. But anyway, this is a letter. Oh, actually, this is a letter which I am going to, first letter from St. Daniel to Fingersmith. I'm not even, the people are long gone who I wrote that letter to first. So here's the thing, and I want you to listen. To the not quite right Reverend Joeseph Smith. No, Joeseph, that's a different person. Joeseph Fingersmith. This is the trouble I have with the saint thing. Folks think the saint is some kind of perfect, some kind of demigod, semigod, might have been called odd when walking round. An earthly form might have been spit on, hit, raped, beaten, tortured, killed, might have been a drunkard, libertine, dope, fiend, criminal before the conversion, the knock you off your horse moment, like Christianity's St. Paul, the Satori of Buddha, whatever Islam's Muhammad came to terms with in the desert, might have killed people. St. Paul, for sure, I remember. Before, all this is the before, that moment of acceptance of the thing that changes everything a human being is able to perceive, conceive, believe, everything changes, and the novitiate realizes they are no big deal. That's what the light, you know what they talk about, the light. That's what the light told me. The light said, sounded like my mother. The light said, you're no big deal. And I repeated every day of my life, I repeated, I'm no big deal. And no one else, the light said, and no one else, and no one. I was going to say, and no one else is either, but that wouldn't be true to the moment. In the instant I realized I was no big deal, I didn't think nor compare myself to anyone else. I wasn't actually thinking much about myself either, other than I was nothing, not a big deal, I guess. There was a difference. Nothing different than no big deal. No big deal is still something. So I realized I was something. Not much, but that was okay. It's okay. It's okay. I spent my entire lifetime prior to my awakening trying to escape the moment of truth. My moment of truth, decades trying to compensate and or blot out, I like that, blot out my insignificance, trying to be a big shot, a rock star, a breadwinner, just so I wouldn't have to live in my earthly skin, just so I wouldn't have to think or accept my meager, trivial existence. Forgive me, Father, what have I done? This is the difference between me and Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and all the holy men. But since, I was raised an altar boy and went back to the church just before I was assigned to R&D and trivial pursuits, not the game, the real life trivial pursuit. It was Jesus, so Jesus all the time. So this is, oh man, I forgot how much pain a body can be in. It's been pretty good. Are you sure you don't have the fentanyl patch? Dang, it's been a while. I'm feeling it already. God damn it, Joe. I need a Percocet. This is the difference between me and Jesus. The guy nailed to the cross, looking down at his tormentors, his executioner, these soldiers gambling for his robes. He knew he'd been betrayed by the original Judas. The original Judas. Oh, never mind. Jesus, God, never mind. The original Judas, and he says, Jesus says, Judas chicken shitted out. You know, we know that story. But Jesus says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Now, that's the Son of God with a capital S. Shit right there. Capital S. Shit right there. Asking his Father to forgive them because not only were they callous, indifferent, unthinking, oblivious to and or sadistically getting off on the suffering around them. 3 men have been nailed to their respective boards for Christ's sake. I guess literally for Christ's sake. And blood and gore, is dripping all over, down into the ground. And can you just imagine how it felt to walk around in a pair, to walk around that ground in a pair of open-toed sandals? Yuck. Yuck, get me out of here. I want to go back. I want to go back. This is the end of this letter, and I'm giving this back to Joeseph Finga Smyth. Take it back, man. Take it back. I need to go. I'm shaking like a drunk 3 days off alcohol. It's a fight. Every day is a war. Every day is a war. Every day is a war. Goodbye. Oh, excuse me. I must have fallen asleep. I don't remember leaving the studio, and I don't remember returning. All I remember is telling you all goodbye. Wait a minute. Something is working. There are some petitions. It seems like a lot of people are desperate to leave and secure parking wherever their destination may be. And there is a tremendous message from Saint Daniel of the parking lot saints to provide parking to everyone. And so it goes. Welcome. People are telling me, Sean Williams is speaking to me right now, telling me that the phone lines have been filled with concerned parishioners Or maybe we don't have that many parishioners. We have 43 subscribers, and not all of them are what we would call members of the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints. But they have subscribed to the real Joe Finga's show, primarily to watch my show. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Not my show. Sean Williams is just basically telling me right now it would be in my best interest not to claim any ownership over this church. Of course, I'm just a servant trying to spread the word as best I can. Spread the word about St. Daniel of the Parking Lot and the trivial requests that need to be heard by people who feel important, by people who also feel dismissed, by people who feel trivial. In fact, there's a sermon that I was going to read, a letter from St. Daniel to whom it may concern. What? 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 What do you mean? I'm being told I have already read this sermon to you. I don't recall it. But I kind of feel like the last part of the sermon, like I'm stepping into something very unpleasant. So I'm trying to sort this out. It has happened before, where I've had periods of time where I cannot remember what I have been doing. And that was years after I stopped taking intoxicants that helped me forget. It was years before I literally stumbled upon a parking lot saint who had taken my parking spot where I wanted to park for the night without a car. I had no car. But anyway, let us get on with it. I walk with spirits that guide my hand as we get near it, the promised land. My brothers, my sisters, we are not alone. I walk with spirits, they guide me home. I walk with spirits, they have my ear. They speak, I hear it. The message clear. Don't cry for family. Don't cry for self. There's a word we know, yeah. Then there's something else. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I am just letting that reverberate, that last tone, because sometimes B flat, sometimes B flat, right there, sometimes B flat gives me comfort when I'm seeking comfort. While I was singing, some things were becoming clear, that I had been possessed by the spirit, the soul, the entire substantive being of St. Daniel of the parking lot, St. Daniel of parking lot saints. It's such an honor to have him occupy my earthly corporal form. It is such a tribute to the spirit of St. Daniel that he would want to come and convey his truth to you through me. Though I seem to remember now the struggle that was happening, I guess this was from the last episode, which was over a week ago. I don't know if anybody really remembers, nor even paid attention, let alone watched the entire episode. But while I was playing the entrance hymn for this sermon, this church service, this presentation, I was given the gift of returning memory, and I understand the episode. And there is a part of me that understands that even though it is an honor for St. Daniel to occupy my flesh, there is also the ego that will struggle and fight to the bitter end to continue to have preeminence. That is why St. Daniel has always said, you have to take your ego and put it in the trunk with other bodies, because if that does not happen, then your true purpose will not happen. It will not come to be. It will not be an occurrence. It will be just a vanishing thought, a non-bucket list wish, something that will not happen in this lifetime because ego is pushing your purpose away. I do not want to be so heavy with this, but I have to let you understand that I myself did not want to fight St. Daniel every inch of the way to take over. That I myself wanted to allow him and welcome him into this vessel, much like I would welcome him into my house. Much like I would welcome you into my house. I'm running out of my car, into my place of worship, my place of business. I'd welcome you like someone in charge of a jam session welcomes anyone up on stage. You know, anybody. And even though I tell people, if I was running a jam session, that I wanted to keep it simple, and that I would want you to understand that the people up here in the band, the people up here standing in the choir, they're doing this out of love. They are offering love. And all they want as far as payment in return is more love from you. But does that always happen in a jam session? No, it doesn't always happen in a jam session, especially a blues jam session. When you say, I just want to keep it to 3 chords max. Do you understand what 1-4-5 is? And 1-4-5 is basically my metaphor or my, I don't know, analogy or my, whatever you want to call it. I can talk sometimes and speak and enunciate at times like you would think I have an understanding of what the 25-cent words are, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I am very mistaken. So I try to keep it simple. My words are simple as a blues jam. As simple as the 1-4-5. And though sometimes even if I don't know what 1-4-5 means, I will say, how can it be that hard? Because it's the blues. Because how can it be that hard? Because we're talking about saints. What can be easier than talking about a saint who never did anything wrong? What can be easier than laying down a blues groove? Because it's so simple. But sometimes the simple stuff is not the easy stuff. Sometimes the simple stuff has to be your gateway to acceptance of your limitations, to take what is given to you and do the best with it. But sometimes we get on stage, sometimes we're in front of people, sometimes we're in the middle of doing something that's important to, well, I'll speak for myself, my ego, and I do not want to think of myself as a person who needs to keep it simple. I want to go and say, instead of doing blues, can we do jazz? Instead of, singing that Etta James song with 2 chords, can we do something that's a little more popish and has a few more chords in it so I can feel like I'm actually doing something? Or maybe a little R&B like I'm easy like Sunday morning, which everybody should know. But sometimes everybody doesn't know that. And so the ego insists, and so the people around the ego say, okay, we'll give it a shot, but don't expect much. And the ego does expect a lot. And the ego expects it to be perfect. The ego expects it to be just like the record. When half the people in the band have never heard that record. Hard to believe. I'm easy like Sunday morning, which is appropriate for even a church to say, which sometimes people born before my time have never heard that song. Sometimes people born, people 20, 21 years old have never heard that song. Sometimes people, and their egos sometimes do this too. Sometimes people who are just beginning to learn their instrument will tell the other egomaniac, yeah, man, I can play it. Just tell me what key. And then it turns out to be something else entirely. Can be enjoyable if your ego's out of the way. Can be like, this is my first step to getting better, but not always on that stage. And what happens on that stage? Instead of saying, my bad, I shouldn't have given you something that complicated, although I really don't think it's complicated. I mean, listen to it. It's really easy. It's an easy song, like Sunday morning easy song. It says so right in the song, and you can't play it. Instead of saying, maybe I should have listened to you and kept it to an actual blues progression that everybody on bandstand knows. Maybe instead of saying, maybe I should say I apologize for being so difficult. But no, what usually happens if the ego's not put in the trunk, what usually happens is this. We all know what happens. Here's what happens. The scowl, the bitter look at the other players, and sometimes on stage or away from the stage, this is what is uttered. They don't even know the goddamn song. I can't believe they don't know that song. It's so easy for me to sing it. Why can they not play it the way I want it played? I swear to God, I'm never going to return to that stage on that day again. Never, ever, ever, never, forever, ever, never. And what I say to that is, good. You don't want to return? Then keep your ego. You don't want to return to that place? Then keep your ego. You don't want to take a chance that maybe you can shine on that stage? If you listen to somebody tell you, keep it simple, God damn it. Keep it simple. Listen to that still, small voice inside of you, or it's going to become a shrill and aggravating screech in your ears day and night, much like the way you sounded when you were on stage, because you were not thinking about your performance. You were just thinking, those guys behind me and those women and those non-binary people behind me better play it right and better make me sound good. When deep down inside, your ego is telling you, you sound like shit. And yes, I say this here at this Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints because this is not a church of a perfect deity. This is not even a deity. This is basically a soul at the bottom rung of the eternity, of the eternal life cycle is what I meant to say. See, I made a mistake. It wasn't your fault. It was my mistake. It wasn't even my fault. I was getting ahead of myself. But I am feeling the churn. I'm feeling the burn. I'm wondering why St. Daniel did this to me. Let me lose a whole week. My ego's coming back. I got my glasses off. I'm shaking. I'm going to raise my hand into the air and shake my head like I just don't care, St. Daniel. I just don't care for the way I've been treated. Now, is that my ego? Yes, damn right, it's my ego. But look at all I've done for you since you've been gone. And you go and treat me like this. You fight for my body. You fight. You to take control over my body, to come here and to talk to people like you talked to people when you were in your later stages of earthly life. Not like the happy-go-lucky child who wanted to help his auntie out with a parking spot and found his life's calling. And mostly, the acceptance that has happened because of your acceptance of your calling, though maybe too late in your earthly life, has provided a source of solace, comfort, and feelings of well-being in the people who have petitioned you for the location of their parking spot and trivial stuff. I know that I should not be angry, that I should be honored. But sometimes even the Right Reverend Joeseph, the not quite right Reverend, I must be. See, I know it's my ego. I said Right Reverend, not quite right. I am not quite right because my ego is not in the trunk. Because I have come to understand that St. Daniel does not want to walk around in the mud, in the blood, in the gore. Even though his name's not Sue, how do you do? He does not want to wallow in that anymore and does not think that we need to do this. And I don't know what else to say. So I was playing these two chords just about an hour last night. It felt like church, yeah. I was feeling all right. I said, thank you. Thank you, St. Daniel, for helping me find this keyboard where my other keyboard was shot. I took her to the repairman. I called him up yesterday. He said, what? And I said, oh, this is the not quite the Reverend. He said, how do you do? I said, don't you remember I sent my keyboard to be serviced? Tell me what's new. Can you tell me about your keyboard again? He said, can you tell me what was wrong? Can I not tell you? I said, can I not tell you and not have to sing that song over and over again? He said, now hold on, fella, don't talk to me in that tone. If you say it again that way, I'm gonna hang up the phone and you'll be alone. Speaking into that contraption that's smarter than you. Tell me again what kind of piano it is and I'll see what I can do. I paused, put my ego in the trunk. Because it wasn't worth getting in a funk. For all I know, he sold my piano for parts. I hope it wasn't that what was happening now. I hoping that didn't happen. Had to play it smart. So I told him, I gave him a proper description of my RD 700. He says, oh yeah, man, it's right here. I haven't got a chance to look at it yet. I said, it's been 3 months. Do you think you can tell me something in a week or two? He said, no can do. I got a big list of stuff I gotta get to. And I'm gonna get to it right away. But right away ain't right now. It could take me a few days. But don't you worry, I'll call you. 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 Well, now, brothers and sisters, you know, the parking lot saint ain't like that. as soon as you make your petition, as soon as you make your request, that man, he's gonna listen, yeah. And you know, most of the time he says yes. He finds something, some reason why you can get what you want right now, 'cause he's here to please, baby. On my knee, tell you how he understands I was mad that he took over my body and soul. But he had to tell you something, had to show you that he was in control. Now that I think about it, yeah, now that I think about it, I'm so honored that he chose my body and he chose my soul. And the next time I'm gonna have that happen, the next time it might just happen, the next time it happens, I hope I think, well, that's just rock and roll, baby. Even though they call rock and roll the devil's music, even though they call the blues stepson of Lucifer, even though they said Robert Johnson went down to the crossroads and made a deal with the devil just so he could play that guitar, so he could sing them songs about the crossroads like I'm here myself. A song about the crossroads, I know I ain't by myself. I see y'all, I see you here. That's why I close my eyes and wear the sunglasses, 'cause sometimes I see it too clear. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Oh, listen to that. Ah, those tones were bending. Those tones were bending. Just sort of like my resistance was bending. Just sort of like, you know, the way the harmonious juxtaposition between heart and soul and free will and self-determination and predetermination come together to make a whole big gumbo of chaos. I'm trying to find something here to read that St. Daniel left. He left a message for me, written in my own hand, but with the brain and the soul and the intention of that holy man who's a man, and he's not holy, not completely holy. But this is this is how I feel after that song. My throat is clear again. I can hear my voice. It tells me the truth. Simple, plain, clear. Use me. No, I'm not going to play Bill Withers until you use me up. Although it's a great song. I don't do any cover songs during these presentations. It's got to be all original from the soul, from the heart. Even if it's the heart of darkness, you won't find me quoting Joseph Conrad. He's not in very good favor right now anyway. But, Apocalypse Now, although I watch the movies sometimes to help me fall asleep, it's a secular pursuits that I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with St. Daniel or the parking lot. But I want you to use your voice to proclaim the good news that there is affordable. What, healthcare? Oh, never mind. That there is convenient parking at the hospital. I don't know why you're going there. St. Daniel went to the emergency room one time. Well, he was wheeled into the emergency room one time. And He was not treated favorably by the emergency room nurse. He was crumpled over. He could barely breathe. He had all kinds of things happening to his lungs. It was obvious that he was weak. The extent of his speech after the nurse said, "What's wrong with you?" was, So the nurse, before I tell you exactly what happened later on, well, just in the next instant, whatever happened in that story, remember that there's a little bad in the best of us, and there's a little good in the worst of us. That's it. A little bad in the best, a little good in the worst. Because what I'm about to tell you is about one of the people I think have to stand amongst the worst people in the world. Because the person wheeling St. Daniel into that emergency room was none other than his nefarious and infamous, no count, no good scallywag who charges me an arm and a leg just to utilize some of his audio and video equipment. I mean, I'm not talking about a reasonable payment. I'm talking about extortion after the fact with, incriminating photos and stuff. Some people would call it blackmail. I'm not too proud to admit that before I was a reverend, I did some things. I just do not want to hurt other people by having them published through the internet all over the place, But anyway, sort of like hate porn, whatever. And revenge porn, they call it revenge porn. But I'm against it, by the way. I'm against it. But anyway, this person is the biological brother of St. Daniel, and he was the one who wheeled him in, none other than Joe Fingers. And the man, this is the little bit of good that Joe Fingers did. The emergency room nurse looked up at Joe Fingers and said, "What's wrong with him?" And from what I understand, Joe Fingers says he's the only person sick in this emergency room. He's going to die right here if you don't take care of him. And then, according to reports by some of these other people who took exception to the fact that Joe Fingers would say they were not sick, that the only person sick was St. Daniel. Though I'm happy to say Joe Fingers stood up for his brother, and that nurse said, from all reports, then his name had better be on the top of the list. And so Joe Fingers took a pen from his pocket. He was lucky to have the pen that day. He usually misplaces them and never can find them and borrows them from somebody else and keeps them. But he took the pen that day from the nurse. He grabbed the list and he took the list off of the clipboard, and right on the very top of the clipboard he wrote, "St. Daniel of the parking lot is dying." He says he's now on the top of the list. Now, this is where I know from these reports, and I have read the actual documents, that when they took St. Daniel's blood pressure, it was 36/50. He should have been dead already. That freaked Mr. E.R. Dick out, apparently, and he got in touch with a nurse who knew something. A nurse who had been to Iraq and Afghanistan, was an expert in triage, and saved St. Daniel's life, because his life here on this earth was not meant to be over yet, but he needed that triage nurse. So, St. Daniel convinced Joe Fingers not to focus on E.R. Dick, but to focus on E.R. Savior, the person who saved St. Daniel's life, and not to file a complaint about the person who was not doing their job, but to file a thank you, job well done letter, and to be put in the file of that triage nurse, the nurse savior. I mean, it's a story that's worth telling because it helps me remember that I should write St. Daniel a letter thanking him for taking over my body to talk to you. Apparently, it's on videotape, or it's on video or digital video, whatever you call this stuff anymore. Apparently it's there, and I can see it for my own self. So, I don't know if I have any more to say. I'm waiting in great anticipation for the next time my body becomes occupied by a person much more worthy of this vessel than me. So, and I don't know if we went through the ritual of please, Daniel, please find a parking lot for me. I'm not got my needs. Oh, please, Daniel, please. Please, Daniel, please find a parking spot for me. Don't have my handicap sticker, but I got my needs. Walking always does damage to my feet, so please, Daniel, please find a parking lot for me. I'm not in the worst shape, but I got my needs. I'm down on my knees. Find a parking spot for me. Wait a minute. I'm getting mixed up. I am sorry to all the folks watching for my confusion. I hope that I am in better form next week. But right now, the store is closing. I would recommend that you keep your ego in the trunk, although many of you now will feel it's time to allow it to become part of you again. When in doubt, don't let it out. S.P. Lot, S.P. Lot. Until next time.